Boy, Girl, Mom, and Dad, episode 35, Potty Training Twins.
Boy, girl, mom and dad here for the good times and the bad. From gender norms and stereotypes to making sure that the butts are wet. Boy, girl, mom and dad want grown-up time, you're going mad. It's a trip, but we'll guide you through with tips and tricks for boys and girls too.
I'm
Hello.
Lauren and I'm Nick. Wait, I'm not. I just said I'm Lauren and I'm Nick. I'm Lauren and this is my husband, Nick.
You know what? This matches with the last episode where we've realized that I've been kicked off as the co-host and I'm actually a guest. So please introduce me as a guest.
Yeah. Well, 35, you turned 35 this year, so that's kind of
Okay.
a fun little correlation between this episode number. This is the correct episode number, I believe. The other week I kept saying episode 32 and it was supposed to be 33. You know, hashtag parent.
Yeah, it's okay. We can't expect perfection, you know?
We just have to, as we learned last week, we only need to get it right 30% of the time. So
That's right. Thank you,
that's
Emma,
what we're
for
going
that.
for.
Thank you for that
Yeah.
get out of jail free card.
So potty training twins is what we're discussing today. I think actually a lot of this will be relevant to those who don't have twins, just potty training in general. Nick hasn't seen this outline yet, but I think he'll agree with me that there's a small chunk at the bottom that's about twins. And the rest is just build up, and then we have twins, so that's the experience. So if you're here listening to this wondering if it will be applicable to you, I think it will be. Potty training for everybody, but specifically twins, because as we have learned, twins are a small niche and there's not a ton of things for them, and so we're here to help bridge the gap.
They're also their own beast.
Correct. Yeah, and we'll get into that as well. Whenever I was starting this outline for the episode, all I could think about was Baby Mama, which is one of my favorite movies, severely underrated. It has Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, among other people. And there's a line in there where the mom says, "Is it chocolate or is it poop?" "Oh, it was chocolate." And Tina Fey says, "But what if it was poop? Or what if it had been poop?" Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say is that people potty training are like, great, it's annoying, but at the end of the day, we'll buy less diapers and hopefully get a little bit of a raise in our familial income. I just want to say that you might want to rethink that because you're using less diapers, but there is a high probability that your child will then become obsessed with using toilet paper and or hand soap and or washing their hands, and your water bill will increase. So, it all evens out.
And that doesn't even include the extra laundry cycles you have to do.
True. And you might say, no, my child's going to use 4 squares of toilet paper. That's that. Good luck. Because sometimes they want 8 squares. And at that time, I usually just don't want to fight it. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. So a couple things before we get into it. Last week in our Gentle Parenting Isn't What You Think It Is, episode 34, we had a tiff about eggs. And I didn't realize that, or I forgot rather, that we had already done a tiff about eggs. So that was a repeat. Very much a tired parent moment. Our nanny has been out sick for a week. And so just a little bit scattered. But you got to hear it twice and with another person's input. So there's that. The other thing on episode 32, it's the one where I talked about how I wrote a book, a children's book. TikTok is not happy with Nick with a certain clip about him asking me the calendar, and we talk about, let me Google that for you. And Nick was not happy about that. And I just have to say that it's just a little snippet. Did you want to say something?
I don't know if you want me to say something. Are you just telling people the internet's mad at me, or is this going to be a discussion?
No, it's more so I'm sticking up for you.
Thank you. Please continue.
It's a funny clip. And I mean, Nick does do that occasionally, but don't we all do something occasionally? And it was really just a funny clip, but the internet's mad at him. So I am not mad at you, Nick, just so you know. In our friend group, it's sometimes a joke, or not as a joke, it's actually true, is that I will be defensive of the person being made fun of. And I have extreme loyalty, but when it comes to being like made fun of, if I just defended you and now you're making fun of somewhere else, then I will be defending the other person. So it's not like there's no allegiance, but no one is safe from my, it's not wrath. That's a little bit harsh of a word, but like I will stick up for people. My whole point in saying that is that I was getting my nails done the other month, and it's a newer person to me, and so we're getting to know each other. And at the end of the first time she's doing my nails, this was in December, she was asking me about if I do like the housework, like do I wash the dishes and things like that. And the beginning of our conversation together, she was talking to me about her ex-husband, and we were talking about, roles around the house and things like that. So I thought she was asking me if Nick was a good partner. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I mean, I do those, but like Nick does a lot of them too. He's really great. He
Listen
helps a
up,
lot.
people who watch that TikTok video.
He's really great. He's really helpful." And she goes, "I'm just asking to know if I need to put an extra layer of coat on your nails." And I was like, "Oh." She just wanted
Oh,
to know
that's
if she
really
needed
funny.
she just wanted to know if she needed to put like an extra like strength saver thing on my nails so like water and stuff like that doesn't erode them before they're ready to be,
That's really
off my
funny.
nails. Yeah.
Really funny.
So, yeah. Okay, and like every week we do a tiff before we get into the meat of the episode, and Nick has been complaining that he hasn't gotten to do a tiff. And so I'm going to give him this tiff, but Nick, if you look on the paper, I wrote what I was guessing your tiff was going to be. But you can take it away, and it doesn't have to be that one.
Hmm. I was not prepared that I would own this section, but man, does it feel good to be back in the driver's seat of the TIFF section. My TIFF is about counter space, and it really should be called table space. Maybe table space and counter space. I like counter space to be clean and empty when you're not using it. And I think that Lauren likes that, but in practice, I think there are some opportunities for you to improve, babe. So let me give you an example. If we bring in some packages from outside, I like to put them by the door or by where our shoes are, all in one area by the mail, so we can open them there and do whatever else we need to do with them. You usually put them on the table, even if you're not immediately opening them, and then they stay there. And then when you open them, you open in a way that the box's contents take up half the paper, and then you lay the things that you've opened on the dining room table. And the same thing happens in the counter, which gets your clothes stained if the counters aren't wiped down, which we've already talked about in a separate TIFF. So my question in true Larry David fashion is, do you value counter space? Lauren Molinas.
I do value counter space. I predicted that it was going to be counter space. I literally wrote it down, counter space tiff, but this isn't where I thought you were going to go. I thought you were going to tell me that I cut things and place things halfway on the counter. And so with giving it more likelihood of falling off or hurting myself if I'm cutting something.
I mean, you do that, and I would love to discuss that another date when I hopefully own this section in the future. But today we're talking about utilization of counter space.
Yeah, no, I'm very pro utilization. I think that's one of my least favorite parts about our kitchen is that it's very small with very limited counter space. I don't really know what you're talking about in the kitchen because I think we both contribute to that, and that's actually why I recently bought a skinny tall pantry thing that my dad put together for us this week, and that's I think going to be game changer for us as getting things off the counter. I think it's going to be amazing. We just need to put stuff in it and organize it. As far as the dining room table, I think what's hard is that a lot of the time I treat the dining room table as my desk. I will sit there and work, and a lot of the packages I get are for work. And so I put them on the table as part of that. I also hesitate to put them by the front door because that's a lot of the time where we put things to recycle and throw away, and I don't want it to get thrown away.
Okay,
But
so
go ahead.
true or false? There is a place that we put our mail right now based on the new foot shelf thing we got.
Yeah, like
That's
paper
what I
mail.
mean by the door. That's a distinctly separate place from where we put the recycling.
Yeah, there's just actually a bunch of stuff on that top right now, and so there's not a ton of space for packages, and so there have actually been some that have fallen off of that. So I'm just trying
Would
to
you
keep it safe.
agree that it is encouraging to hear that you also value counter space. I assumed as much because I don't think you're doing this on purpose. Would you agree that a good minimum standard of care is that when we're done with something on the table, we move it to a home or the trash can,
100%.
like immediately,
100%.
so that when Nick wants to eat his dinner or his breakfast, he can go to the table and there's always going to be a spot at the table for him to put his plate down?
I would love that for us.
Would you also let me buy you a desk?
I'm not against a desk.
I don't think you're pro desk. I've shown you cool folding desks before. You're anti-desk.
I think I just want to get a couple. We've talked about it before in the sense that like I have to get what's right in front of me done before I go to the next thing. Like when we bought those new pieces of furniture that are great storage for us in the hallway when you walk in, you also wanted to look at a rug and things like that. And I too wanted a new rug, but I needed to get those things up and off the ground before I could go there. And actually, I wanted to get a couch before I got a rug. And we did order a couch. It's not here yet. And so that's the next thing. So a desk would be something that comes later for me because I need to get the other things first.
Okay. And that's something you're not flexible on.
I can be flexible. It's just sometimes hard for me to, if you want my opinion, it's sometimes hard for me to give you my direct opinion when I can't form it yet.
I don't understand that. But so, okay, an example of the kitchen, since you said you don't agree with that. When you've opened packages before in the kitchen, those things usually stay on the counter by the fridge and on the little kitchen island we have or on the coffee cart for a while. And I agree with you that we have limited counter space in the kitchen, but that is why counter space is a Tiff for me, because I want it to stay clean.
Okay. I think the things that I leave in the kitchen belong in the kitchen, typically.
Yes,
So
that's probably true, but they don't go to their homes. They stay
they
on the
don't have a
counter.
home yet. They're
That's what I'm
unhoused.
saying. Yes, I agree with you. But I think a minimum standard of care for all of us, I'm talking to myself here as well, is, for example, I shouldn't be putting things on the stairs, which I'm doing a lot right now, to go up. I should be putting them in their homes. And if they don't
Yeah.
have homes, I should be creating a home. And if I'm not creating a home, they should be in the trash can.
Agree. Do we want to talk about your desk piles?
I'm trying to fix my desk. I've made big strides on my desk.
Great.
But I
I
agree with what you're saying. I should also have a clean desk.
Well, I don't really want to spend much more time on this, but basically the desk piles that you have just get moved back and forth from, and for the reference, Nick's office is in our bedroom. And so he has stacks, those ADDs stacks, piles of things that he keeps on his desk. And then when he's working during the day, they go on our bed. And then
Did
right
you
before we go
notice?
to sleep, they go back to the desk.
Did you notice though that my 2 stacks have become 1 because one of the stacks was almost gone?
I think that I have noticed you slowly chipping away at it.
Yep.
We're trying to get better. We are. And we discussed that in the episode about mom guilt, 34, I believe. No, 33. Just about how organization really helps me stay calm.
Okay, we can move on. And the one last thing I'm going to slip in is that we have both agreed that we're going to wipe counters when they're empty and we're done using them. Amen. Go.
Yeah. I'm for it. I've done that.
You have done that occasionally.
All right. I'll let you have the last word on that one.
Thank you.
All right. Before we get in, this is about it. It's not, I keep saying before we get into it, but coincidentally enough, today what is today? March 3rd? March 4th?
Yes,
Today,
4th.
Emily Oster, one of my favorite people to go to for information, she's an economist and she looks at everything from an economist point of view and the studies and things like that. She has 3 books that I've read: Expecting Better, to read when you're pregnant; Crib Sheet, to read right after; and then The Family Firm, which you read right after that. And she posts a lot of studies, and I will link this in the show notes for sure. But today of all days, she posted a how long it took to potty train by starting age graph. It's right here.
I see it.
Yeah. And it's very interesting. And I just thought it was like fun to see on the day we're recording about this. But basically she said in the caption, Potty training can feel like a Mount Everest-sized challenge, and sadly, our evidence-based guidance is poor. So I created a survey to collate advice and feedback on success from about 6,000 participants. How long does potty training take? We found that there is a strong basic pattern here. The later you wait to start, the shorter time it takes to potty train. On average, people who start at under 18 months report it takes them about 12 weeks for their child to be fully potty trained, meaning using the toilet consistently for both peeing and pooping. For those who start between 3 and 3.5, it's more like 9 days. So 12 weeks versus 9 days. Keep in mind that for all these age groups, there's a range of length of time from a few days to over a year. Sometimes parents are told that if you do it right, it only takes a few days. While that is true for some people, it is definitely not the norm. And according to this graph, um, it's basically what she said. Like, you can look at it for yourself by clicking the link, but the younger they are, the longer it takes. And then most of the data states that girls are potty trained faster than boys within this study. Is that how you read the graph, Nick?
It is, but the thing that surprises me about the graph is even if you start early, how long it actually takes to potty train. Because I feel like the perception is that it's like a few weeks, not like 12 weeks at the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time. What are
Yeah.
we on? Week 5, 4?
We started January 23rd, I think. So,
So we're like on 5 or 6.
yeah.
Wow.
And I will say, I think our kids have done amazing. But we have had occasional, like, whether it be a random accident or like an accident where they catch themselves and be like, oh, I just went a little, and then go the rest in the bathroom. Um, you know, we'll talk about poop issues too, not to get ahead of ourselves, but it's just interesting. And we're going to talk about tips and where it works for us. But overall, every kid is different. And so I would do what works for you. But here's some ideas if you are wanting some.
Yes, every kid is different and do what works for you, but also start earlier. Start earlier than you think you need to start. That's the point of this graph, is it not?
Not necessarily. It depends how the parent wants to do it. To spend 9 days instead of 12 weeks?
Wait, 9 days is what? That's not the minimum.
If you start between 3 years old and 3.5 years old, it's usually about 9 days, where if you start 18 months, it takes about 12 weeks. The older they are, the less time it takes to potty train.
Oh, I read that backwards. So much for my engineering degree. Yeah, I read that backwards. I flipped the axes. Yeah, wow. Darn. So we're just in it for 30 weeks because we started too early?
I don't think so. We started at, hold on, I wrote this down so I didn't have to think about it on the fly. I think we started at 27 months, which I saw a different chart the other day saying that 27 months was about the average time that people start, because it's over 2. So
Yes,
imagine, go ahead.
but average is not best.
No, but I'm still happy with what we've done, because I think trying to potty train an 18-month-old would have been really hard. So
No.
I'm not surprised it takes that long.
Yeah, I think we're getting mixed up. If you're right about the graph, it says to start later than you think you need to start.
No, it's I don't think she's suggesting anything. She's just saying be prepared for, if you start younger, it will take longer.
Okay, so to clarify, if you want to spend less time potty training, start later.
Yeah. For the most part, yeah.
Got it. I hear you, because that's probably a good call out, that it's not going to hurt your kid or anything if you start earlier or later. But if your expectations are managed by this graph, you'll know how long you should expect potty training to take based on your age. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm back. It's been a long time since college, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, like 10 years.
Yeah, I said a long time. You didn't have to quantify it. Now I feel old.
I already said
You
you were
already
turning.
accused me of being 35, and it did sound like an accusation. I used that word correctly.
You do turn 35 this year. You have like over 6 months, but
There's the accusation again.
you do turn 35. Okay. So I have sections just so this is not mean. I have sections just so it kind of is organized. So I'm going to first talk about the tools that we used, and then I'm going to go over the timeline that we used, and then I'm going to go over tips and then questions that I was asked. So first up, tools. It was in my to-do list, on my to-do list, whatever, to read a book about potty training. Spoiler alert, I didn't read a book. I really did think about it, but I didn't have time. Last year just like flew by like I don't know what flies fast.
Plane?
A plane, a golden snitch, I
You
don't
don't know
know.
what flies?
Something that I was trying to say, like, what goes by super fast? Like, I'm gonna go with golden snitch. In September, we were gone for half of the month, and then it was their birthday, and then we were gone for Thanksgiving, and then we were gone for Christmas. So it was a lot, and it we've mentioned it, I think, briefly that once they turned 2, sleep just got wonky, and we've just been having issues where sleep is not consistent for us. There's a lot of not sleeping through the night and a lot of crawling into our bed. So we're tired and we did a lot of traveling, which was all fun and I don't regret any of it, but it was a lot. So I didn't read a book, but I had heard about books and talked to enough people. Most of our friends, family that we knew had potty trained did something along the lines of the no pant method. So whether that be the oh crap, or yeah, I think it's called oh crap potty training method book, or the 2 or 3 day potty training method book, I'll link both. Something along those lines. Again, I also didn't read it, not only because I didn't have time, but because they're not geared toward twins. And so I kind of just wanted to, I guess not on purpose, but threw myself into the trenches because I didn't necessarily think that they were going to help me anyway. Along those same lines, I remember that I was going to take a breastfeeding class pre the twins coming, and the only time I could go to this one offered in our area was on my birthday. And I was like, I have plans on my birthday. I'm not going to sit at home and take a breastfeeding class. The next one that was offered for twins specifically was after the twins were born. I was like, no. So they were like, oh, well, you can just come to the normal breastfeeding class. I'm like, thank you very much, ma'am. But no, I'm not going to come to the normal breastfeeding class because I'm going to be breastfeeding 2 at the same time. I'm sure there would be helpful things, but I did like a mini course online and I had lactation consultants help me in the hospital. So it just made me think of that. It's not the same. And I just, not that it'd be a waste of my time, but I had very minimal time anyway. And so, yeah.
I mean, this is not our podcast topic, but I think outside of like digital content, I wonder what your expectations are for in-person classes around like twins, because I feel like there's not a big enough market locally for people to have like twin specific breastfeeding classes. It sounds like that's what you're expecting.
So this was the pump station in Los Angeles. They have a couple locations, I believe, and they do offer twin specific classes. I just couldn't go. And it was actually, remember when they were born, we were still kind of in COVID. So this was a virtual class, like via Zoom.
Yeah, virtual makes sense to me. Yeah, okay. Anyway, it was just a question. We were also hitting a tipping point where we weren't sure if the diapers that were already the largest sizes were going to be able to hold everything that was happening in them. So I think we were kind of being forced to potty train a little bit. We also received some very clear signals from both, but really from one of the twins, that they were ready to start. So like dry diapers after naps. And there's a few, Lauren, you can help me, but there's a few other like indicators of your kids ready if they start like talking about it or asking about the potty or something like that.
Yeah. And so because that was happening, we didn't necessarily have time to read a book. So yeah, that's kind of, we kind of just like went in it without reading the book. Yeah, we're going to discuss some of the signals a little bit later. Right now, we're just talking about the tools, but Nick's right. They were signaling, and because of those signals that we had been seeing for a while, actually, we kind of just went in without reading a book and kind of just did it ourselves, DIY.
Yep.
All right, the next tool, a potty. It's not controversial, but people have very strong opinions about it. And if you're potty training twins, I would recommend getting 2 potties. So we have 2 toilets in our home, but one's upstairs and one is downstairs. And so I really just wanted 2 toilets because they could be right there beside me and they could both use at the same time because I just could foresee a bridesmaids moment, when they're all sick and they're having to go to the bathroom and there's not enough toilets. They're just all in the bathroom, like going in the sink, going across uh, the street. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? That scene, the diarrhea. But
Yes.
but so I would recommend 2 toilets. People often say don't do this for singletons because it's just something extra to have and they don't like to clean the poop out of it. I don't like to clean the poop out of it either. It's worse than picking up my dog's poop, and it's worse than doing a diaper. I don't know why. Do you have an opinion on that, Nick? Do you
I
think
mean,
it's
it's
worse?
harder. It makes perfect sense that it's worse. Like it's not with the dog, you're like you put the bag around your hand, you're grabbing it in one motion, you tie it up, you never have to like clean the inside of the bag or anything. Like with these receptacles, you have to pour it and then rinse out the inside and then clean out the inside if it's number 2 and then put it back in the potty.
Yeah, it's grosser somehow. And so that is a con, but I still recommend 2 toilets for them just so they can both go at the same time. You will inevitably have a fight over the potty, so if you wanted to label them and say this one's this person's and this one's the other's, that could work for you. We didn't do that, but it could work looking back.
I kind of recommend against that, no offense, but
Oh,
because like I mean, with us, we had a specific issue where one of the potties was flushing and the other one broke the flushing mechanism. Like it's a noise, but one of them broke early on. So they usually want to use the flushing one. But I feel like we've still had fights over single ones for different reasons. I feel like labeling would just create that sense of ownership that would incite the fight as opposed to just having enough. Because to me, what you're saying, I agree with that. You recommend we have 2, or people with twins have 2, because when one goes, the other one is usually triggered to go, or at least has interest in sitting on the other potty with the first twin.
it was maybe just a question mark that labeling them could help with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know your kid better than we do, so do what works for them. But people like to get an attachment for the toilet, and I think that makes a lot of sense if you don't want to have to clean out the poop and you want it to just go straight in the toilet. The attachment also helps because there's sometimes a fear of pooping, and if they're already used to pooping in something that has water and the water may like splash up on them, that probably would be easier in the long run. But we just needed 2 toilets just because we have twins. So I would recommend getting 2, but I would still get some sort of an attachment. I didn't do like the attachment with the steps that you can like climb up, which it's very helpful, but I didn't do that. I bought some that like sit right on the toilet and then fold up small. There's the Frida brand, but I spent a little bit more and bought the One Proud Toddler brand, and I bought 2 of them. I liked this one just because it sits on the toilet a little bit better and doesn't have a opening to where it won't like pinch your kid's booty or whatever if they sit on it weird. It also folds flatter, and we already have a ton of stuff in our diaper bag, so that's kind of why I went with that one. We usually will put one in the diaper bag when we go out, but we keep one in the upstairs bathroom and one in the downstairs bathroom, so they like to choose their own potty adventure. So they want to go in the big potty, do they want to go in the little potty, and having those is a quick way to have your child be able to go in the big bathroom. Also, as an adult, I was a little bit traumatized one time. I forgot whose house it was. I went over and they were potty training and they had like the kid attachment buckled onto the seat and I couldn't figure out how to get it off. So I had to go like above the kid toilet on top. Nightmare. So this was just easier all around and I felt okay spending a little bit more on the seat attachment since I didn't buy the stool one. We also have squatty potties in both of our bathrooms, and so those kind of act as a stool for that too. I don't remember if I said this, but we do keep the little attachment in a car, or we put it in the diaper bag rather and bring it with us when we're driving in our car. But we also try to bring one of the little potties with us in the car. So if they need to go, you can just open up the back and like they can sit there, or you can put it on the ground and they can go there when you're on the go too.
I would also call that a road trip hack. We haven't actually used it for like long road trips yet because we haven't really had a long road trip since we've started potty training, which is weird for us. Side note, we usually travel a lot more, but it's also kind of peaceful that we've been home for a while. That was a Lauren style deviation. Hopefully you liked hearing that, babe.
I did. I was going to say it's also by design, but we'll talk about it in a minute. Go
Fair.
ahead.
But I think it's a good road trip hack because like it would, I mean, you're stopping the same amount of time as you need to change diapers, but you still get to potty train out of the back of your car. And bonus points if you have like an SUV or a hatchback or something where they can actually sit in the back of the car on the toilet as opposed to pulling the toilet out and putting it down in a parking lot or something, which would maybe be weird and partially traumatizing. I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about that until I just said it.
Yeah, I mean, whenever my parents would take me in the car, they had a little potty that I would go in.
Oh, really?
It's
I'll have to
not
ask my parents what they did.
Well, you're a boy, so I wonder if they did other things for you, but water bottle on the side of the road. I don't know. Uh,
I don't think that happened to me, but
really? Oh.
yeah.
Hmm. So we talked about the like potty attachment tools and things like that, but something I would recommend are potty books. So I actually have one right here. Oops. This one is called Bye Bye Diapers, and it looks vintage. It's because it is. For some reason, I had it in my head and I remembered it from a child, and so I found it on like not Etsy, but something like that, maybe eBay. So this is Bye Bye Diapers, and I actually really like reading this book. It's Miss Piggy. Another one that I have that's somewhere, I think it's downstairs, is I found the Biddy Twins Potty Train, and it's by American Girl Biddy Baby. And I found it because when I was in the American Girl store, when I took Olive in January, they had a potty training book. And I was like, can I buy this? And they said, well, we don't sell it outside of a set. They used to do like a small set that was like $15, and now it's a part of the potty training set. And I love you, American Girl, but I'm not buying a Biddy Baby potty training. That would like a training toilet, that would just it's asking for them to use it to go to the bathroom. So I didn't buy that. And
Yeah.
but when I was there, I didn't realize that they didn't sell it for sure out of that set anymore. And so they told me to check online because they were out of it in store. And when I checked online, I found an old, I don't think it's in print anymore, but it's about the Biddy twins potty training. And so I will try to find some like to link in the show notes, but they actually really like that book and it has helped them go to the bathroom for sure. But there's honestly potty books for everybody that your child could probably like. Like there's a Daniel Tiger potty training book. There's a Peppa Pig. There's a Sesame Street. I think there's a Cocomelon one if that's your thing. And then I remember a book from when I was younger. I remember seeing it in Barnes and Noble, the Everybody Poops book. So there's a lot of literature that can really help your child understand and just like talk about it. And so I would definitely recommend getting a couple of those to have on hand.
Yeah, and also breaking news, before next year, there's going to be a It Takes Two potty training book as part of the series, right, babe?
Oh wow, I don't know about that. I haven't thought about that actually.
Yeah,
He's
I
talking.
just did, so you're welcome.
um, that's actually a really good idea.
Thank you.
This
I
is
do
my
want
book.
some of the royalties, please.
Sounds good. I think we can work out a deal. He's referencing my book, It Takes Two, a special book for twins. It's a children's board book, and I thought there was a gap in the market, and so I filled it. It is diverse, it shows representation, and it's also great for fraternal twins. There's not a ton of fraternal twin stuff on the market. So, anyway, it's on Amazon. I will, of course, link it for you, but yeah, maybe I'll work on a potty training one.
Also, shameless plug, it's almost sold out, and we're trying to get the second run, but I don't know how long it's going to take. So if you want one, go get it, please.
All right, there's books, but there's also shows. If you're anti-screen or whatever, you can fast forward this part, but there are potty shows. There are potty episodes rather. So I know Daniel Tiger has one. I know Peppa Pig has one. Those are the ones I showed them. I'm trying to think if there were other ones. I'm sure that there are, but if your child has a show that they like, there may or may not be a potty training episode. So just Google search it or something. All right, and our last tool is underwear. And so I would make sure you have underwear before you start potty training. I bought some in early January and it arrived and I was like, great, we can start potty training now. But then I was like, wait a minute. I only bought 5 pairs a piece. Like I need to buy more. And so that like prolonged it a little bit. But I will say that my favorite to buy them is from Gap. They are organic cotton. They're soft. The waistband isn't too tight. It's not like elastic. I know that can be hard if your child has sensory issues. The other one I like, if Gap is sold out, because they are sold out frequently, because it's like a 5-pack for maybe $30, but when they release them, they're usually on sale like 30 or 40% off. So a good price, especially for soft organic cotton. But another option that my children do like are from Burt's Bees. They have organic cotton ones as well. The elastic band, I think, on the boys' briefs is elastic, so it's not as soft as the Gap ones, but Cypress, it doesn't bother Cypress. The girl ones on Burt's Bees, I think, don't have that. But yeah, those are our favorite underwear as of right now. Those are the tools we used, and now let's talk about our timeline. When did we do this? How old were they, et cetera, et cetera. So I ordered a potty for them to see, like the little one with the flush that doesn't actually flush anything, just has the noise. I ordered that 2 months before they turned 2, so 22 months is when I first ordered that one. I then realized, oh, I should probably order another one. So I don't remember when I got the second one, but it was obviously pre-started potty training. Around the time I bought the potty, I also bought the Little Miss Piggy potty book. So I had that probably 4 months before. Let's see, let me do the math real quick. So I actually had the potty 5 months before we started potty training, and I think this was crucial. That was around the time for us that we started seeing the readiness indicators Nick was talking about. So the dry diapers, the telling me when it's wet or telling them when it's dirty, asking for a change, not going overnight, or and it wasn't like all the time, but it was enough to where it was like, "Oh, this is happening." And we didn't potty train at this point just because we had a big back half of the year. So this was, I guess, August when I bought the toilets, and we traveled every single month for an extended period of time for the rest of the year. So it wasn't ideal to be on long flights, car rides, all that stuff. It just wasn't a good time to potty train. So that's why we didn't do it then. Otherwise, we probably could have started it then. But we kind of did like a slow drip of like, this is the potty, and this is a book about a potty, and this is what we're going to do. So I would recommend doing that. Like before you start, go ahead and get them kind of introduced to the idea of it.
I think
And
that did help for sure. Like they were familiar, to your point, with the potty and stuff prior to when we actually dove in.
mhm. So like if they ask to use it, then like you know, we let them flush the toilet and just kind of get excited about it because you want them to be excited. You don't want to have a negative association with the toilet and going to the bathroom because that will make it very hard for you. The first time they actually went to the bathroom in the toilet was, I think, October-ish, so I think they had turned 2 at this point maybe, but Nick and I weren't actually even here. Uh, like we said, we let them kind of just, like, sit on the toilet whenever they want to, and our nanny had put one of them on the toilet, and they went to the bathroom, and we were actually on a date, and we're like, "What?"
Yeah.
So, but again, we didn't start potty training till around 3 months later. So they had already done it a couple times, not more than a couple really, before we went to the actual potty training stage, which again, I think is good to just kind of get them used to it because it's scary. They've been doing something the same way for over 2 years at this point, so there's going to take a little bit to get used to. I knew that potty training was gonna be a New Year's goal. Is a little bit pushed out just because of the underwear, like I mentioned, but we ended up starting potty training on January 23rd, and it was actually kind of random. It wasn't I mean, it was planned, obviously, we were going to do it, but I kinda just ripped the Band-Aid off and did it. And I was showing them their underwear because at this point, I had all of their 15 pairs of underwear put away, clean, and I was showing them, and one of them wanted to immediately put it on, and so I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this now. And for the rest of that afternoon, no pants. And we just started at that point. That was a Tuesday, and they had stuff planned for Wednesday. So those 2 days, we just did half days of bottomless around the house. So basically, you just don't have them wear pants. They can wear a shirt, but don't have them wear pants so they can, feel themselves going to the bathroom at that point, or don't dirty a bunch of clothing. And you set a timer for 20-ish, 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, whatever. And you just make them sit on the toilet every so often so that they start going. And that's what we did. So then all day Thursday and all day Friday, they were home the entire day. The books say, from what I've heard, because again, I didn't read them, that you're supposed to stay at home for 3 days. And then at that point, it starts to click. And you're supposed to literally just watch them and like look for their signals that they have to go to the bathroom. If they start to go, hopefully get them and have them finish on the toilet if they didn't start on the toilet. You also pump them full of liquid so that they have a lot of liquid to release. And yeah, and we started actually going out again that Saturday. So it wasn't a full 3 days of bottomless. I probably going back would do a full 3 day of bottomless, but I had a reservation in the American Girl store and I didn't really want to change that. So
I have
I
a tool
didn't.
to add to the list and it's
Oh.
relevant here.
Okay.
Buy extra paper towels.
Oh, yeah.
I have another one, and it's kind of a reverse tool. Hide your vacuum cleaners.
Wait, we're going to talk about that. Don't get into that yet.
I was going to say hide your vacuum cleaners, story coming later.
Okay.
So hide your vacuum cleaners, story coming about that later.
Yeah. On that day that I went out and you went out too, we both took them on separate parent dates. We did have accidents, but I think you just have to go in with the mindset that like this is going to happen. There are going to be accidents and that is completely normal, and just prepare yourself mentally for that to happen. So I think that was basically our timeline. Do you have anything to add to that timeline?
I know this is probably a tip, but you just said it, so I want to say it too. Like, don't try not to get mad at your children when they have the accidents. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more about this, but that's my recommendation.
Yeah, agree. +1. Remember Google Plus? Is that what it's called?
Look,
All right.
their AI release is not looking good either, so maybe they have a string of failures.
Hey, I mean, heading out strong with their Google platform, the search feature. So that changed the world.
I know. We don't have to.
All right, let's go into tips. Again, this will probably have some of our own experience and timeline within this, but I just want to group them like this. So the first tip, we already said it. You're going to pick a time frame where you're not traveling a lot of time. Like Nick said, we usually travel a lot more than this, but we purposely picked a time frame in our lives where we are not taking any type of trip really right now. Our next trip is in April. That's when we'll go on a flight. Again, it's April, and so that was literally like, is that a 4-month chunk of time where we did not travel, and I think that was good. Now we are going places, but we're not like getting on an airplane, and it's not an extended road trip. And I think if you do it before 4 months, this isn't like a written rule, that's fine. I just think it's been really helpful for the kids to do
We're
this.
going places in life.
Yeah. And in LA, and that's basically a long road trip sometimes because of traffic.
Gosh, like time long, not distance long.
Yeah. You're going to pick a chunk of time where there's not a ton of stuff going on, and then you are going to pump them full of liquid. I don't know if you're anti-juice. We don't really do juice over here, but I did let them have juice when we were first doing this just to make sure they had liquid coming out of them. We did like apple juice and would dilute it with water. We also have cherry juice we would use at night. Those are pretty much their favorites for that. Also, I would pick a room where it's good to stay in for most of the day. Something that we did on purpose was not put their little potties in their bedroom. I did not want to give them any thought or idea about using the restroom on their bed, on the floor. And I think that has been great for us. Sometimes we do take a little potty upstairs, but for the most part, those two live downstairs. And then we have the potty cover to use upstairs on the big potty and downstairs on that potty as well. You're going to let them go to the bathroom with you. This is another thing you can start early on before you even start potty training. And that's actually kind of how it happened with the one who went to the potty first, because they went to the bathroom with me. We were out with our friends and I just took one of them with me. And I don't know if this is TMI, but I typically do not sit on public toilets. I will squat, and I'm aware that it's not good for my pelvic floor. But
It's up there. You're on the line of TMI.
but it's relevant to the story. I was
Sure.
squatting, going to the bathroom, and the one that was with me was watching the stream and stuck their hand in it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, why would you do that?" But then, like 2 days later, is when that one went to the bathroom in the toilet. So I think going with you to the bathroom and you talking about what's happening
Yeah.
is really good for them seeing it in real life. And you can actually use it when you're training. You can use it and be like, "Okay, let's go to the bathroom together." Like you can put the little potty in there with the big potty. So I think that's really good. I think also having one of each sex, it's good for that one to go to the bathroom with you, who's the same sex as you, so they can see, how it works. You are going to have your books, ideally before you start potty training, and have them read those. You're going to have your underwear, have that ready, have them washed, ready to go.
And pick fun ones that are like applicable to their current interests. And you don't have to do this with all of them, but Like we have ones that they ask for right now. So it's like encouraging them to use them.
Yeah, like, Gap has a Disney collaboration, so we have Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Um, there's lots of cute girly ones. We have fire truck ones. We have, dinosaurs, cars, all types of things. So very fun novelty. I would also think about your furniture, especially like we potty trained in our living room most of the time. We waited to get a new couch until we had done the bulk of the potty training. We removed our rug off the floor just because you never know where it's going to happen. So just think about the furniture and things you have in places and if it's easily cleaned or not, because you'll want to move it if it's not.
Fun fact, when we were potty training our Great Dane, Dino, back in Texas, we lost 2 leather couches to that process. So definitely take that piece of advice. Do not buy new furniture if you're considering buying new furniture prior to this potty training process.
Yes, retweet. We're not really a bribe house. We don't do that, but with potty training, it all goes out the window. Yeah, so we totally use this. Sure, you can have a popsicle after you go to the bathroom, or we are going to watch a trash truck episode if you go to the bathroom, or I press pause if they're watching Encanto and say, "Hey, we're taking a potty break." Well, I'll press play when you go again. It's hard because you don't want to have them create a negative relationship with going to the bathroom, but you also need them to go. So, kind of just do what you have to do. I would be mindful in the sense that, for example, one day both of them had already gone to the bathroom in the toilet when we woke up. We had to leave a little bit earlier for church. And I said, "Okay, you go to the bathroom right now. I will give you a lollipop." I think they were asking for a lollipop. I wouldn't normally give them one at, 8:30 in the morning, but at this point I really needed them to go. And one of them sat on the toilet and was honest to goodness trying to go. I don't think they had any more in them because they'd already gone to the bathroom, but was so upset because they felt like they were doing something wrong. And so that was on me. That was my bad for, you know, trying to reward them with something that really wasn't possible. I should have remembered they had just gone. It was a lot and it really wouldn't have been possible. So there was a lot of tears that morning. So be mindful about that. You want to make it fun for them. Nick, do you want to sing any of your potty songs?
I didn't know you wanted me to do this. You want me to sing them and put them on the internet. That's your plan?
Yeah. Well, you don't just like a little ditty, drop a few bars.
Can you TT in the potty? Will you TT in the potty? That clap is not going to be good for the recording. Can you TT in the potty? It's time to TT now.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a clip, by the way.
No, I won't make it a clip. Then you would be like, "Where are you, TT? Come out,
Where are
TT."
you, TT?
There was another one you sang though that was like, "Get it out of your body, time to go in the potty," something like that. Yeah?
Yeah.
No, you don't remember that one?
Time to get it out of your body. It's time to put it in the potty.
Yeah. We have another one that I'm not gonna sing because it's not my song to sing, but we have friends who have a great one, and I was like, "Please put that on the internet. Please put it on YouTube. I will share the heck out of it." So maybe they will.
Yeah,
Madison,
it's
if
a
you're
good
listening
one.
to this Madison, if you're listening to this, yeah, please get on that. Thank you. You can also do this in a way of like making it fun to where there's a song you only sing after they're done. Um, you know, it's also fun to flush, but they only get to flush when they've used the toilet. They don't just like get to flush for fun.
Same
Our
thing with
nan
washing hands. They love to wash hands. That's like something you want to wait to let them do, just like you said.
Yeah, and something about flushing and washing your hands, our nanny used this with them, and I really like it, is that they'll let it run or wanna flush the toilet all the time, but she's like, "The ocean friends need the water too, like, the whales and the dolphins, they need water too," so that's a good way to kinda communicate, like, "Hey, turn off the water." Another thing ours like to do are turning off the timer, and so I'll set a timer, especially if we've gotten somewhere and they haven't gone to the bathroom yet, I will set a timer. We're kind of past the all the time timers just because they're gotten in a good rhythm of going to the bathroom, but if we're somewhere else foreign to our home, then, I will set a timer, and they enjoy turning the timer off, but again, I only let them do it after they've gone to the bathroom. I will talk about twins in this section at the bottom, but something we didn't do, not consciously, but I guess subconsciously, is sticker charts. That's something that a lot of courses recommend, but with twins specifically, it's really hard to do sticker charts because they see, what the other twin is doing, and that can be really hard in comparison when they have totally different bodies, totally different systems and stuff coming out, and so it's not really healthy to do that with twins. You can give them stickers, but just don't do a sticker chart. You want to create habits. You want to create a schedule where they know, we wake up in the morning, we go to the bathroom. What's the first thing we do when we get home from being out? We go to the bathroom. And it can be really annoying, especially when you're trying to put them down for a nap, because we don't just make schedules, we also take them to the bathroom whenever they need to go. And so if we're in the middle of putting them down for a nap and they say they have to go to the bathroom, then we get up and go with them to the bathroom just because that's the stage we're at. And it's better than not. Yeah. Don't you think so, Nick?
Yeah, I agree. Also, like you kind of implicitly said this, but I would recommend against being so rigid that you don't go when they need to go. Like you want to encourage them recognizing that it's time to go and communicating it with you, or just going to the restroom themselves and having you follow and help. Yeah, so the rigidity is for habit forming. It is not to box them into only going a specific time.
Yeah. And this one kind of hurts my heart, but you want to consider their clothing when you're potty training. I have really cute jumpsuits for Olive. I have overalls for both of them. It's kind of a time to put them to the side, at least right now, just because they're really hard to go to the bathroom in. And if they're trying to take their pants off, that's already hard for a child. But to try and take that off is just really hard to try and go to the bathroom. How I taught them to kind of like pull down their own underwear and pants is I make them give me thumbs up and then thumbs down, and then I have them slip it into their pant so they like are using their thumbs, which is the key helper here, and then push down. So that's kind of how I did it. Along the same line for teaching them how to do soap, I have them do flat hands, then flip one over. So you have one palm up, one palm down, and then the palm up goes underneath the soap nozzle and the palm down. Again, they're both flat, so they understand this. Goes on top, and then they pump like this, and then they can get their own soap, and you don't have to do it for them. It's great.
One modification to that suggestion is make sure there's a gap of air between the bottom hand and the bottom of the nozzle, because right now, both of them, but specifically one of them, are trying to push up against the bottom of the nozzle at the same time they're trying to push down with the other hand, and that makes it not move anywhere. So, yeah.
Would also recommend having a soap bottle that is not glass.
Why would you recommend that, babe?
Because if it falls on the floor, then it will break into tiny pieces.
Is that something we're intimately aware of in the last week?
We experienced that. And so upstairs, we still have a glass bottle. I love my Primally Pure hand soap, but downstairs, we have one that's actually aluminum. So it's still kind of pretty, but it will not break when it falls because inevitably it will.
Wait, is the one downstairs now, is that unbreakable? It feels like ceramic.
It's aluminum.
Oh, okay, cool. So it'll just dent.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a dent sound in my head, I guess. I don't know.
So this is actually a great time to talk about Primally Pure hand soap. They have seasonal scents that are amazing. And right now, I would recommend using the winter scent, which is like a clear, crisp hug when you wash your hands with it. And you can get a discount with code
BGMAD.
Yeah, every order you place with Primally Pure, you get a discount with code BGMAD.
BGMAD.
Another tip, just because we are mostly potty trained, I would say, we are not sans diapers yet. It is completely normal for kids to be potty trained during the day first and then during the night later. I actually don't know when kids are night potty trained. I haven't really done a lot of research on that, but I read a stat today that said they're usually nighttime potty trained by 5. And I was like, oh, interesting.
5?
Yeah. So I haven't done a lot of research into that. I think we'll hit that before 5, but who knows? I know obviously like bedwetting and stuff is a thing, but I'm hoping we'll be nighttime potty trained before 5.
5.
Yeah.
I'll be close to 40.
Yeah.
As you made sure to let me know.
Yeah. So again, we wear diapers at night, nap time, and then we'll put them on them in the car if it's a long car ride and or specifically if they're in a nap in the car. We haven't talked about this yet, but we have a flight in April, and I think we'll probably put them in a diaper for that just to be safe.
Yeah. There, we talked about it. I have no notes, no disagreement. You just said, do you want our flight to be easier in April? Yes.
Yeah, and guess what? I don't really
Did
even
you
like
think I
going.
was going to fight you on that?
No, but I don't even like going to the bathroom on the plane, so I don't really want to take a child into there. Plus, it's so small. Ugh, I don't. I actually made it through and have never changed a diaper in a plane bathroom. I've changed it on a plane, like in my seat, but I never did it in the
Wait.
bathroom. You did that.
You didn't even do one? Is that right?
Not in a plane bathroom. I did it on the
Listen,
seat.
listen. I'm very proud of that fact.
Me
People
too.
people are wondering, yeah, I'm sure you are. If people say like, "Does your husband even contribute?" You can say in response, "I've never once changed a diaper on the plane and we've traveled a lot." That's your
No,
response.
it's not completely true. I've changed diapers on the plane. I've never done it in the bathroom.
Oh, well, yeah. Just say what I said. It sounds way cooler.
I'm sure it does too. But no, thank you, Nick, for your service. On that note about diapers and traveling and things like that, we typically go everywhere, even if it's just to gymnastics, with 2 extra set of pants per kid and 2 extra pairs of underwear per kid, plus a couple diapers in there as just backup as well. So you want to have some backup in case they go to the bathroom on themselves, which it's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely do this. And I am talking to you a little bit here because I think you, Lauren, have released this a bit. But if you're somebody who dresses your kids super, super cute, uh, like Lauren does, you might want to forget about that with your 2 changes of clothes because at that point, just need to put something on them, not we have to have 3 perfect outfits picked out just in case we need the contingency of 2.
Yeah, they're like a pair of leggings and a pair of sweatpants that live in there, so they don't necessarily go with it. You can pack like a full another outfit, but that means just a cute outfit that I have will live in the bag unless you're going to take them out each time, which is kind of hard because then you might forget to put more in.
Right.
Or if you're out like we've had to do before, we just bought a new pair of pants.
Also, it's just fine if you need to like throw them back in a diaper or, if you don't have any underwear left, like I don't know. It's just okay what you need to do, right? We've all had to potty train if we've had kids. Every parent's going to understand, and the ones who don't, you don't want to talk to anyway. So just it's fine.
Side note, um, my parents potty trained my sister, but I was potty trained at daycare.
Oh, that's an interesting fact.
Yeah.
Back when daycare cost $5 a day.
Yeah, I need to ask my parents how much that cost.
Oh man. Yes. So we would also recommend to keep doggy number 2 bags, in your trunk, in your car, in your diaper bag, in your house. They're just super convenient. They're also very, very cheap. If you don't have a dog, you can still find them on Amazon or other retail stores. They're super cheap for like a box of 20 rolls. You can even get more. I buy them in boxes of like 100 rolls, but we have a Great Dane where we need them. They're super convenient for a lot of reasons, but if you need to pick up the clothes or store the clothes that have had an accident in them, you can do that. If you need to clean up an accident, specifically a number 2 somewhere else, it's super easy to pick them up with a bag as opposed to paper towel or whatever else you need to use. Sorry, this is getting graphic, but you need to have these in your possession. I would also recommend the dog poop ones as opposed to like there are actually bags meant for this, like travel diaper bags is what they'll call them. They're from companies that also make like the diaper genies and stuff. Those are way more expensive per bag than the doggy ones, and they are quite literally the same thing. So just get the dog ones.
Yeah, and we actually kept these in our diaper bag before we potty trained because we would put like a poop diaper in there if we didn't have a trash can at the time. We also would put like, there were times where they had a blowout and they really didn't have that many blowouts, but there were times where it did happen and we would, put those clothes in the bag so it didn't contaminate or get anywhere else. So they're just really convenient to have in general.
One of those is enough to create a giant memory that'll never get out of your head. So it happened.
Yeah. We said this in the tool section, but basically another tip would be to keep a portable potty in the car just in case. You could also keep a seat cover, I guess, in the car if you didn't want to put it in the diaper bag directly. So that's an option. Um, yeah. So something that we didn't do, but I've heard as a tip, especially if you have a child who is reluctant to use the toilet, is to start buying, no pun intended, but crappy diapers so that they're not as wicking. The diapers on the market today are super like drying and keep the wet from touching them. So a lot of times it doesn't bother them. And if you buy a cheaper diaper that doesn't have that technology per se, then they're more likely to go to the bathroom and the toilet because they don't want to sit in it and it's uncomfortable.
Yep. Good call. Crappy diapers is funny.
Something else that we didn't do because we haven't bought crappy diapers, people said to switch to pull-ups, and right now we're still able to fit into the diapers on the market. Um, and the pull-ups, at least for the brand we use, which is Diaper, the pull-ups are more expensive, like double the price. I know they're using less in a day, like theoretically 2 a day, but at this point, I'm just keeping the diapers because they're cheaper.
And one thing though, based on what you said earlier about us maybe having to potty train all the way up to 5, size may just become an issue, right? Like we might have to start buying pull-ups even though we haven't yet, based on how large our kids grow between now and whenever they're finished potty training, specifically for like overnights and stuff. I don't know that we're going to be able to find diapers big enough even with crappy brands,
I
but
agree. We're at the edge of it anyway, but we're going to milk it for all it's worth. If you are sending your child to daycare, they may recommend switching to pull-ups because that's easier because the child can pull them up and down. And it's also a lot easier to put on a standing child. And then you can just rip the sides when you need to take it off. But for now, we are just going to use diapers.
yep.
A problem that we're still kind of battling over here. Again, I'm not going to be talking about specific children, but when you're potty training, you run the risk specifically with pooping and having issues with pooping and then holding the poop and then becoming constipated, which is really, really sad for everybody all around. And so you want to like talk about pooping. Maybe you get the Everybody Poops book and just like keep talking about it, but make sure they're eating foods with fiber in it, like avocados. I'm trying to think of other things. Just fruits and vegetables too,
Celery.
celery. Um, Another thing you can do is have vitamins. The ones that are our favorite are Llama Naturals, and I think it's called Llama Naturals. And I'll link it for you, and I have a discount code that gets you 20% off. It's El Molinas. I'll see if I can get a BGMAD specific code. That's my personal code. Um, but just be aware of that if they're holding their poop in. Something that is a signal to where you can start potty training as well is like they're going to the bathroom at the same time. So like both of ours would typically go to the poop around 1 p.m. And so again, that was another sign that like, okay, these patterns are helpful for them and that they can see like they need to go to the bathroom here and it's just like always going, which is also why I'm like, okay, I'm annoyed because I'm trying to put you down for a nap, but when you have to go to the bathroom, I know you usually go around this time, so I'm going to take you even though it's annoying to
Yeah.
me. Something to keep in mind just when things are annoying because potty training is hard is just that your child is not trying to manipulate you. I know that, like, some kids will use that to get up and get out, but a lot of times they do have to go to the bathroom, and you just kinda have to do it. It's annoying, and that's where the frustration stems from. I would say for the most part, they're not trying to manipulate you.
So an example of that, to get more specific, is when they're going down for naps or for bedtime, I they may and probably will discover that it's an unlock of getting out of the bed if they say they have to go to the bathroom. So one of ours is doing that right now where, they'll say, "Oh, I have to go potty. I have to go potty." And they really don't need to, but you do, to Lauren's point, need to take them into the bathroom, regardless. So it will extend your nap time and bedtime in some cases.
Yeah, and I have to instill boundaries with that, and so if they're just sitting there and it's been, like, a reasonable amount of time, 3, 5 minutes, I'm like, "Okay, if we don't go in the next, like, minute, then we're gonna get off the potty. It's time to get off the potty," and that's the time where I can tell that they didn't actually need to go, but I'm still glad I took them because what if it was? And I just remember this is a side note. I remember being in school, like, even high school, where, like, you asked to go to the bathroom and then some teachers wouldn't let you go. Like, it was my goal to make it through the entire day without going to the bathroom.
Yep.
at school.
That's
And sometimes I
hilarious.
did that. Like, I was not drinking enough water, clearly, but it also was like you were scared out of going to the bathroom because a lot of times the teacher didn't want you to go because some kids would just go like wander the halls. So, just a side note with that.
That's funny. I didn't know you did that.
Um, let's talk about what to say when they go to the bathroom. There's nothing wrong inherently with saying, like, I'm proud of you, but let's make them proud of themselves. So you can say, you did it. You worked really hard on that because their body did. That's amazing. Way to go. One of my favorites is to say, way to listen to your body. I'm so glad you listened to your body, especially when they take their own initiative to go in the bathroom without even telling you. You can have a dance party. You can cheer. You can sing, like, make them feel good. They will literally come around and say, I did it, and show it to us. Like, it's great.
Yeah, it's super cute, and it also instills obviously excitement after the fact. So we want to make them excited to do it and hopeful for when it happens. And a negative piece of advice there as well, like something not to do, is don't have a lackluster reaction when they bring something to you, even if they're not excited about it. If they tell you they've gone, be excited. Even if it feels weird to be excited, be excited. Like I think if you say, oh, okay, great, cool, or like, oh, thanks for letting me know, like they're not going to be incited to do it again, and excited to do it again, right? Because they're not getting the positive, excited reaction from their parents they would expect if they've done something great or something worthy of praise.
Yeah. And that's part of what kind of makes it fun for them is like you're really excited that they're doing a
Right.
great job. And it's just part of it. Like I think we said already, give them lots of options. Do you want to go upstairs or downstairs in the potty? Do you want to go in the big potty or the little potty? Do you want to flush it or do you want me to flush it? Do you want to pour it into the potty or do you want me to? That type of thing. You're giving them control, and it's I don't know. Potty training does give them control over their body, but it's not like necessarily fun. But when you're giving them options, it makes them feel in control, and I think toddlers need to feel that.
Yeah. I have a bullet to add to this list, if that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
When they are learning to go, number two, watch for them trying to push. Right now, one of ours is like thinks that they have to every time really, really hard, and you can see like they stop breathing and their face is getting scrunched. I I worry about them assigning like a requirement of having to do that, because that can cause problems physically. It can cause hemorrhoids and other problems, not only for kids but for adults as well. So we don't want them to get in the habit of thinking you have to force it out as opposed to let it come out. So something to watch for, and then start to add to your language if you see that it's happening. Like right now with the one that's it's happening with in our house, I'm saying like, hey, it will come on its own. Don't feel like you have to force it. Don't push. It will come on its own. So just
Yeah.
another piece of instruction.
My parents told me that you said that. That's a really good thing to say. They overheard you saying that. I haven't heard you say that yet, but it's awesome and I support it. I kind of wish that they had kid squatty potties because I think that would be amazing. Because we have encountered constipation, I have like tried to make little stacks for their feet to stand on just so it's a better pooping position.
They've
I think
asked for
every
it a few times too.
I think everybody needs a squatty potty. I think that they're amazing. But yeah, maybe they should do kid ones for sure. Um, we want to have good bowel health, all about it.
Yeah.
So, like I kind of mentioned at the beginning, that was all just like potty training in general with a little bit of twin stuff sprinkled in. So, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of potty training twins. Nick, do you want to talk about the pros or the cons first?
I'm going to do pros.
Okay. So, I think the best part about potty training twins is that they get to see each other do it. So it's like obviously they see us go to the bathroom, but when you have someone your age that you can see going to the bathroom, I think it's very encouraging. And then on top of that, I think they're very encouraging of each other. Like, sissy did it, yay, brother did it. Um, yay, let's clap, let's high five. Like I think those are the two main benefits that I see of potty training twins.
Yeah, they have a built-in cheerleader. It's actually gotten to the point now where it's pretty funny where like they will try and come watch each other go and actively cheer each other on when it's happening. So it's not just like post, it's also like, oh, I want to see, that's so great. Like they get so excited, which is cute. It's got to be, it's cute from our perspective, but it's got to feel great for like your twin to be cheering you on.
Yeah. Do you have any other pros?
I think that another pro is they may not both and probably won't both be ready when you decide to start potty training, but you kind of need to start both of them at the same time. So that is a benefit, right? The one that isn't ready will kind of accelerate their readiness and start the training earlier than they otherwise would have if they were a singleton because their brother or sister has started. So that's a benefit I can see.
Side note, you said they kind of need to start at the same time as far as twins go. I think that's what I would recommend, but
Yes.
your child or your twins may be different and it may look different for you. So if you need to do them separately, that is probably easier in some cases, which leads me to the cons. I'd say the hardest part of potty training twins, specifically in this like no bottoms method, is that you're supposed to watch them like a hawk. And when there's two of them and a lot of times only one of you, uh, you can't watch them directly like you're supposed to. And so one example for us is like I was with one in the bathroom dealing with putting their stuff in the toilet while I was out. The other one pooped on the floor, and it wasn't like a malicious thing, but pooped on the floor and then got the vacuum and then tried to like suck it up the
Yeah.
vacuum, trying to help and like clean it up. And so it's actually like really cute that this one got the vacuum to do that, but it's hard because you can't watch them diligently. And so if you can like do it, like maybe take off a Friday and do like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you and your partner can do it, or maybe have a friend come over or have your nanny come over so that you can have help just like watching them constantly when you're doing it. We did it mostly me and then part of the nanny. And so it's doable for sure. But if you're looking for that support, this would definitely be a time to call it in.
Yeah.
The other thing that could be difficult with potty training twins is if you choose to have one toilet or if you only have one toilet where you live, that could be hard. Again, I recommend getting two of the small, like portable potties. And then, kind of like Nick said, one might be ready and one might not be, which could prolong the time that you're potty training. And that could be hard. And then just remember, never compare them. Don't be like, okay, your sister just went to the bathroom. It's your turn now. You need to go because your sister just went. Or like, be good like your sister. Like, nope, don't use that language. Don't compare different bodies, different people.
I think just to clarify, I think saying like, "Oh, it's your turn" is okay, but don't pressure them because the other one has gone, which you did say.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. So whenever I was prepping this outline, I let you know that I was doing this and to let me know any questions you had. And the biggest question I had was girls versus boys. What's the difference? How is it? Which one's easier? And I'm going to be kind of be a politician here, and I'm not going to answer your question directly just because my kids didn't sign up to have their poop and pee journeys discussed. But to give some information without details, I would say that, our twins have always traded milestones. The child who showed the most interest and the most signs about being ready for potty training was not the first one to go in the potty. And so just putting that out there because that was pretty much their whole life so far, is like one was ready for it and then the other one did it first. I think that goes back to like they're able to see each other going, and that's kind of like what makes it easier, is that they like egg each other on. I will say that like obviously in the study that I shared at the beginning of Professor Emily Oster, it says that girls are easier to potty train overall. That is what I was told pre-kids, that girls were easier, boys were harder. Um, Now my conversations with people after having kids, the majority of my friends and people I've talked to about say that boys are easier because you can make it like a game. Especially like they say, powers that be say to train boys to sit down to go to the bathroom first, and then you can tell them how to stand up. But if they're standing up, um, you can put like a bullseye or whatever and make it a game for them, and it's fun. So there's that aspect. I haven't read a study on this, but I actually do think there's a birth order thing in there. Your situation might be different.
Yeah.
I would say a big difference between potty training guys and girls, like they each have their own hurdles. For guys, you're teaching them to aim, make sure they keep it in the potty. Girls, I'd say the not struggle, but the difference there, besides they both poop, is just wiping the white way, wiping the right way, like front to back, just so they don't get germs in their area. Something else we didn't say is like potty training is a great time to give anatomically correct names to their body parts, just so
Yep.
they know what they are. Um, so they're learning there, and ours will be like, "Sissy, can I say the words on here? Is that considered not safe
If
for
we're
work if I
telling
say?"
them it's acceptable to say them, we need to be able to say them. Absolutely.
No, no, no. On this podcast, do we have to mark
I
it not safe
understood.
for
I
work?
understood your question.
Oh,
What are you trying to say?
I just didn't know if we would have to mark it like not safe for work or explicit content if I say the actual body part names.
No, because we don't. This is not a kids podcast.
Okay.
We can
Um,
cuss on here. We can do whatever we want on here.
yeah. Um, they'll be like, yeah,
It's for parents.
brother has a penis.
I guess.
Sissy
I
has
guess
a
if
vagina.
you're, yeah. Sorry, you can say it again.
I don't need to say it again. It's fine. They get the gist. But this is a great time to talk about like body parts are theirs and theirs alone. And if someone tries to make it theirs, like to tell you or tell a trusted adult type of thing, it's a good time to talk about that.
Yep.
Um,
They just cheered. I bet they probably just went to the potty. They're that's got to be what it was. They're
yeah.
being watched right now by their grandparents. So, yeah.
Overall, my whole point in this is that it is different potty training boys and girls, but I think the bigger thing is that it's different from child to child. Children are unique. They need their own course of action for potty training shaped to them, and don't try not to be frustrated with them if they aren't catching on as quickly as their sibling. They say to potty train when a child is ready, and I think that's really true, but also be firm. There were times where we just kind of had to accept, not the consequences, but be aware of what might happen. They might go in their car seat. They have gone in their car seat. I threw it in the washing machine. We sprayed it with vinegar spray. It's all fine. It's happened. It's part of potty training. But just be firm. And I basically told them, diapers aren't an option. So we're not doing that right now. We're going to put our underwear back on. We only use diapers at nap time and at night when we're going to sleep. And so just be firm with them, not in a way that is going to be scarring and make them not like to go to the bathroom, but just in like, this is what we're doing moving forward. And I'm here to teach you, help you, guide you, and keep you safe through life.
Yeah, that's good.
But again, if you need a pause, that's fine. You will end up spending less time probably in the future than if you do it now, just like Professor Emily Oster's graph set. No shame in that. Everybody's different. You have to do what's right for you. Our Ask BGMAD segment, which is how we end every podcast, or if we remember every podcast, the question for that today is, when should I move my kids into toddler beds? And I think it's a great question for this week's episode, just because I give a similar answer. Like, when is your child ready? If they're 3 and they're not climbing out of their crib and they still are good with a weight limit, I would keep it in there. I
Yeah.
guess if they're potty training, they need to be able to get out of the crib. Like, that's another thing to consider. But we moved ours because they were climbing out of their crib and hurting themselves at 22 months. So we did it out of necessity. It
Yeah.
hasn't been easier, but it's what we had to do, and it's better than having to come in and comfort them because they bunked their head or hurt their arm or something like that.
I'm not sure that you need to make sure they're in a toddler bed just because of potty training, though. Not to directly disagree with you, but like if they're, if they're in their crib and they need to go to the potty, you should probably be in there with them, or somebody should be watching them. If they don't, it means it's nap time or at night, and they probably are wearing a diaper or a pull up. So I don't know that is a direct driver. I think if they're climbing and showing other reasons why they need to get out of toddler beds and you're close to potty training, then sure. But I don't think it needs to be a main one.
I guess I'm fast forwarding to nighttime potty training,
Yeah,
to where
I
they
agree
have to go
then.
to the bathroom. And I think it is a good transition time, but I wouldn't do it all together at once. That's a lot of changes. So
Yes.
either do it a couple, like we did ours right when they turned 2. So it was a couple months before they potty trained. So give them a couple months where we're not just changing everything. We tried to drop pacifiers and drop bottle and things like that, like all at once, and that was just too many things. So
Yeah.
remember, it's a lot to even start potty training, and it's hard. for them. They've been doing something their whole life and now they're having to do it different. And it can be scary whether the seat is cold and you need to like rub on it to make it like warm, or I actually placed some of the seats on a heating pad just to make it warm and more like friendly. The water would splash on them. If it's an automatic flusher, oh my gosh, put your hand over that so that they can go and it doesn't like scare the poop out of them, really, and that they don't ever want to go to the bathroom in public again. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things going on, and just remember you are their guide.
I think that's it, babe.
Yeah, I think so too. Let us know if you have more potty training questions and we will try to help you. We are always here to chat. You can ask us on IG at boygirlmomdotcom. You can send us an email at hello@boygirlmom.com. Follow along with us, and we can't wait to grow with you.
Thanks for being here. Bye.
Boy, girl, mom, and dad. Gotta wash those butts together. It's a trip, but we'll guide you through with tips and tricks for boys and girls too.